Han Meditations.
The ancient Mexican cultures, Toltecs, Mayans, they had many breathing practices. They also had a shadow work breathing practice, which we took part in. It's very, very long. It's very intricate. It's very detailed.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
So much of this technology is cheap now to get. So even if you were to show up with $2,000 worth of equipment, you could see if there was some scientific basis to what these people are doing. But from my understanding, I didn't go down the chi hole too deep, but a lot of these people aren't showing up and offering, volunteering to have their skills, tested. And that's how science works. You have to test it, right? And it has to be replicable.
Well, everybody wants to be Swami Rama, but nobody wants to do what Swami Rama did, right?
Yeah, who wants to sit in a cave? Well, some people do. Sit in a cave for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
He would go away for years at a time in a dark cave and just sit there and breathe. So in the modern age, I just don't know.
Freak that guy must have been. God, I would love to have talked to him.
Yeah, he had it all down.
Because there are people that can do that. They're like the Unabomber of breathing. They just move to the woods and but without the negativity.
But what was cool about him is he wasn't the only one who could do this. So there were researchers in the 20s and in the 40s who went out with a bunch of equipment, whatever equipment they could cobble together, and tested other yogis who were able to do this exact same thing, right? So Swami was part of this long lineage of people who had this knowledge. Is it still there? It could be, but again, I don't think it's online. I think you really have to get out in the weeds and earn these people's trust in order to get that story.
And what is the history of these people doing this? Like, what was their initial motivation? I mean, is there a written history of this?
The earliest evidence that we have for breathing practices dates back about 4,000 or 5,000 years from these little statuettes in the Indus Valley, which is in northern India. So there was this huge thriving civilization. They had paved roads, they had running water, they were dealing with tin and copper, and they had in this whole civilization, they still have not found any political or governmental buildings. They haven't found any religious iconography. So these people in some ways could have been more advanced than we are now. And they had all of these figures of these people in these yoga poses with their stomachs out. So that's how they date the earliest archaeological evidence of that. And since then all of these practices were moved into the Rig Veda and all of the earliest yoga texts, and they were codified in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. That's where a lot of the yoga methods come from, and that's about 2,000 years old. So
the methods predate all of that?
Oh, I'm sure they predate probably anything that has been in writing.
That's what's so curious to me. What makes me so curious, if you really think about what life must have been like back then, when they were creating this, you would think that people were hunting and gathering, and it was probably a very hard life.
Well, not in that civilization.
Right, but they got to a point where they had some sort of agriculture or some structures and buildings. But how did they get to the point? Because the rest of the world obviously didn't do this. This is not like common practice in Germany or in Italy or in all these other civilizations. Like, what made these people focus on breathwork so much?
Well, it could have been, but we just haven't found anything related to that yet, right? So if you think about hunter-gatherers, we're imagining them as, man, they're just working all day, they're hunting all day, they're gathering. They weren't, from what I know and from what I've seen of the science there. Probably 3 or 4 hours of work, and then you have no other distractions to spend time and build these systems of breathing and health, which is what started in ancient China, which is what started in India, which is what started in ancient Greece. Think about all the distractions we're dealing with today. Constant interruptions. If you've already done your work for the day, and there's nothing else to do, you're going to get more interested, and you're going to have the time to do some empirical studies to see what works and what doesn't.
It just seems to me that, like, learning something like that, learning something like prolonged breath work and the benefits of it, I mean, it seems like this is a really long-term practice that doesn't show you immediate benefits.
Yes and no. I think that you can take someone who has a serious problem, maybe someone who's already very fit. It's going to take a while to really see those big benefits. We see that with athletes with nasal breathing. It takes them weeks or sometimes months to really see gains in performance. But if you've got someone with a chronic condition like asthma or anxiety who are struggling to breathe every single day, and you teach them some basic breathing, some normal breathing patterns, their lives can be absolutely transformed. And we've seen this in study after study. So these people, their breathing has become so disrupted. They're breathing in such an unhealthy way that they don't know what proper breathing is. And just shifting that has a tremendous impact.
Just breathing is so important and integral. And it seems like a normal thing just to, take a deep breath in. But a lot of people don't realize how important it is. If you've ever been anxious or had anxiety, and just breathing will calm you down, just focusing on your breath. And even if you take a deep breath in through your nostrils, and then once your lungs are expanded, take one more deep breath in and then exhale slowly. This is a way of breathing that can maximize how much oxygen you're breathing into your body, and it will decompress your entire body, allowing you to feel more calm. So if you just breathe in like this, and you can immediately feel yourself just calming down, relaxing even more. And it's the same thing if you're just about to channel, like when I'm channeling the meditations, I breathe in through my mouth, extremely deep. So there's different techniques to breathing that a lot of people aren't really aware of. Some people just go out through their entire life and don't even realize that there's different ways to breathe. Some people breathe in, and whenever they're breathing in, their stomach's going in. But whenever I'm breathing in, my stomach's coming out. So there's just different ways to breathe and expand your consciousness. And once you really get into that rhythm of breathing, it allows your consciousness to expand even more. Don't you think, Kelly?
Yes, it does. Breathwork is huge. It's part of many cultures and has many benefits, many different ways to do it. Even look at deep sea divers or people who can hold their breath for a long times.
Yeah.
Before you go into the water, and they practice breathing a certain way before they go into the water. And it's huge. And then they can hold their breath for 6-7 minutes plus. And it's very, very key. It can also calm you down, as Honda showed you. The ancient Mexican cultures, Toltecs, Mayans, they had many breathing practices. They also had a shadow work breathing practice, which we took part in. It's very, very long. It's very intricate. It's very detailed. An exact number of breaths, exact amount of days off. It's very, very calculated. That's how their culture was, all about the numbers. And it helps you do your shadow work. So you can find this all across cultures. It's huge. Our breath is what keeps us present. We always breathe, whether we know it or not.
I'm sure we know we're breathing. No, I'm joking.
Well,
I'm joking.
Consciously thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm joking with you. But yeah, a lot of people aren't conscious and aware that they're breathing all the time. I mean, obviously, that's why I'm joking around, but some people don't even think about it. They're just going throughout their day, and usually you don't think, but there are some animals that actually have to think to breathe every single time. I believe maybe crocodiles are one of those animals, but certain animals have to actually think consciously to take every single breath. So us humans, we don't have to do that, which is actually
Luckily.
Awesome. But it's just a really cool thing that we need to be more aware of, and everyone should practice breathing more. If you want to hear more about breathing techniques, let us know, and we can describe that as well. And, comment, guys, let us know what you think. We're building a community here. We're building a very integrated place where people can share ideas and themes and talk about what they want to talk about, because you don't get this kind of information in normal everyday life. So We're going to be talking about all this kind of information. Just follow, like, subscribe, turn on your notification, because we're dropping new videos every single day. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned and watch another video if you want. Thank you so much.